name's Jess. I'm your regional Landcare coordinator, and Joelle's asked me to put together a little bit of a video about what's going on in my patch. Unfortunately, it can't be live because my patch is actually all the way out in Barradine and we don't have good enough reception for that. So whilst out in Old Bar, which is where I normally live, I do have a little bit of a veggie garden going for the basics for your herbs and all those kinds of things. It's a rental, and the person who built that property was not thinking about gardening because I've got about 1 square metre of sunlight throughout winter. So what I do is I use my partner, who's based out of here in Barradine, which is out in Western Country. I use his wonderful allotment that he has in his rental property. However, again, it's a rental property and it was not looked after by the previous tenants. So we're currently in a bit of a recovery phase here. So I don't have a lot to tell you about what I'm growing, but I do have a lot to tell you about what I'm doing. So we'll start with the one bed that I've finished, and I have actually gotten to a growth place. So I'm just growing your real basic salads here. That's what I always like to start with a garden, just to make sure you have those on supply. You've got your spinach, your snow peas, your kale, your lettuce, and then I just put in some leeks and some onions just to make sure that I've got some investment for the next few months. An important thing here that I always have to include in every veggie garden is a pollinator in the middle, a pollinating flowering species in the middle. I'll probably chuck a few more of those into that empty space as well. Now this bed is the bed that I'm currently working on soil improving so that I can use it. It's going to be a slow process because anyone who's improved soil knows that it can be free, but it also cannot be a cheap process. So I'm trying to do it as affordably as I can. If you look around here, you can see the old beds, how much the soil has dropped and compacted. It's not great soil out here. It's very, very sandy. So we have to add a lot of organic matter to these beds to improve them. The landlords, to clear out the overgrownness, the previous tenant sprayed the whole area with what we don't know. So then we had to give that a little bit of time to settle and a little bit of rain to wash out. And then the landlord came and they burnt all of that dead matter. So that's fine because I don't think there was a great amount of microbes happening in the soil at that time anyway after the spraying, but I probably won't do that again. But it gave us a clear access, so now we've got to improve all that soil. So I'm doing it one bed at a time because it's a big job. So this is the bed that I'm currently working on improving. So basically what we've done is we tilled it up. I'll only do that once, but I just had to do it enough to uncompact the soil. Then we put down a layer of compost. Then we put down a layer of rotted manure. And then what I should have done and I didn't was put down a layer of newspaper and wet it. Because I didn't put that newspaper down, you can see all the oats and probably some barley coming through as these weeds. So I'm gonna have to get down on my hands and knees and pull those out. And then I will, and I did that a couple of weeks ago and I've kept the bed quite wet after that. Then I'm going to top it up with more manure because that's what I can get for free from a neighbour. If I had a huge amount of compost, I'd prefer to use that. But you can see my compost is only a little tumbler. I don't have a big bay set up here because we just don't go through that much matter out here at this house, and it's a rental property, so I don't want to invest that much infrastructure. So a tumbler does me well, but right now it's going to be a manure bed. So after I put down this extra layer of manure, I'll mix that through. I'll put down a layer of newspaper this time, and I'll keep that wet with a big layer of mulch on top, and I'll probably come in and plant that in maybe a week's time after it's had a really good chance to settle. So you can see I've got a few more beds here, and I'll eventually get to all of those. But like I said, it's a process. So the last thing I wanted to show you in this allotment, and I was hoping that maybe one of you can help me, is down here. So at the back of this allotment, I have 2 amazing fruit trees, and they're quite mature. However, I don't know what they are. So this is definitely a stone fruit, and I can tell you that from all stones on the ground. And I can't ID it, well, I can't ID it until some foliage pops out in spring. So I don't get to know what that is for a while. If anyone is great with bark ID, maybe let me know. But I'm hoping maybe somebody can help me here. So here I've got a citrus, and I don't know what it is. I have ruled out orange, and I think I've ruled out lemon, but if I can find a blossom for you, maybe someone can ID this and tell me what I'm going to have in a couple months. It's got a nice smaller leaf than most citruses that I've seen, and it's got a nice smooth edge. So if anybody's great with their citrus and feel like telling me what I'm growing, that would be great. It's definitely a grafted stock, so I did have to pull out some rootstock branches that were coming out of the ground. I've already done that. But yeah, not really sure what I'm growing, so if you've got any advice, let me know. But otherwise it'll be a bit of a surprise for spring, I'm guessing. But yeah, that's my garden out here in Barradine, and maybe in summer I'll show you around my garden in Alba. But until then, happy land caring!